They thought he was just a human Cryo unleashed a monster Part 1. The frozen cargo. The salvage ship Endless Dawn floated in the darkness of space like a dead whale. It had been drifting for 3 weeks, and no one knew why. The distress signal had stopped days ago. Now it was just metal and silence. Captain Rin stood on the bridge of his own ship, watching the dead vessel through the viewport. He was a Velthari, a tall creature with hard skin like armor and 4 arms that ended in sharp claws. His face had no nose, only 2 large black eyes and a mouth full of small teeth. When he spoke, his voice clicked and buzzed. "Take us closer," he ordered. His crew obeyed. The Velthari were known across the galaxy as scavengers. They found dead ships, stripped them for parts, and sold everything. It was not honorable work, but it paid well. Rin's second-in-command, Belix, walked up beside him. Belix was younger and more aggressive. He always wanted to fight, always wanted to prove himself. "Probably just engine failure," Belix said. "Easy job. In and out." Rin said nothing. Something felt wrong. The Endless Dawn was old, yes, but it was also human-made. Human ships were rare these days. Earth had gone silent over 300 years ago. No one knew exactly what had happened. Some said war. Some said plague. Some said the humans had simply killed themselves. Whatever the truth, human ships were valuable. Collectors paid fortunes for them. "Board it," Rin commanded. "Take a team. Find anything worth selling." Belix grinned, showing all his teeth. "With pleasure." The boarding was easy. The Endless Dawn had no power, no defenses. Belix and 6 soldiers cut through the airlock and entered the dark corridors. Their lights cut through the blackness, showing empty hallways covered in dust. "Nothing alive here," one soldier reported. They moved deeper into the ship. The crew quarters were empty. The bridge was empty. The engine room showed signs of damage. Something had burned out long ago, leaving the ship to drift. Then they found the cargo bay. It was a large room, mostly empty. But in the center, surrounded by dead machines and broken containers, stood a single object that made Belix stop walking. A Cryo-pod. It was old. Very old. The design was clearly human, with words written in a language Belix did not understand. Frost covered the glass window on the front, but through the frost, Belix could see something inside. A face. A human face. "Captain," Belix said into his communicator, "you need to see this." Rin arrived 20 minutes later. He stood before the cryopod and studied it carefully. The machines around it were dead, but somehow the pod itself still had power. A small light blinked slowly on its surface, green, then dark, then green again. "It's still working," Rin said quietly. "After all this time, should we open it?" Belix asked. Rin thought about it. A living human was worth more than a dead one. Collectors would pay millions. Scientists would pay more. And there were other buyers, 2 people, who wanted humans for less pleasant reasons. "Open it," Rin decided. "But carefully. If it dies, we lose money." The Velthari engineers worked for an hour. They connected power cables to the pod, ran tests, checked the human's life signs. Everything looked stable. The human inside was male, young-looking, with short black hair and a calm face. He looked like he was sleeping. Beginning thaw sequence, an engineer announced that the pod made a hissing sound. Warm air flowed into it, melting the frost. The green light blinked faster. Numbers appeared on a small screen, temperature rising, heart rate increasing, brain activity starting. Then the lid opened. For a long moment, nothing happened. The human lay still, eyes closed, not moving. Belix leaned closer, curious. "Is it alive?" He asked. The human's eyes opened. They were dark brown, almost black. They did not look confused or scared. They looked around the cargo bay with perfect calmness, studying each Velthary face, each weapon, each exit. It was the look of a predator waking up in a new hunting ground. Belix felt something strange. A coldness in his stomach. A warning in his brain. He had killed many creatures in his life, but something about this human made him want to step back. He ignored the feeling. Humans were weak. Everyone knew that. "Welcome back to life, little thing," Belix said with a cruel smile. "You belong to us now." The human sat up slowly. His movements were smooth and controlled. He looked at Belix without any expression. "Where am I?" His voice was calm and flat. "You're salvage," Belix laughed. "Property. Cargo. We found you, so we own you. That's how it works in this galaxy." The human said nothing. He just looked at Belix with those dark, empty eyes. "Don't worry," Belix continued, enjoying himself. "We'll find a good buyer for you. Maybe a collector. Maybe a fighting pit. Humans don't last long in the pits, but the crowds love watching them try." Still the human said nothing. Belix grew annoyed. He reached out with one clawed hand to grab the human's arm. What happened next was too fast to understand. One moment, Belix was standing. The next moment, he was on the ground, screaming. 3 of his arms were bent in directions they should not bend. Blood poured from his face where his own claws had cut him. And a human was standing over him, holding a blade that he had taken from a guard's belt. No one had seen him move. The other Velthary raised their weapons, but they hesitated. The human stood perfectly still, the blade held low, his eyes moving from face to face. He did not look afraid. He looked like he was counting them, measuring them, deciding the best order in which to kill them. "I will ask one more time," the human said. His voice was still calm, still flat. "Where am I?" Captain Rin stepped forward slowly, his hands raised. He was old enough to know when he was facing something dangerous. This was not a normal human. This was something else. "You are on my ship," Rin said carefully. "In Velthary space. Far from Earth. Very far. How long was I frozen?" Rin checked his datapad with shaking hands. "According to the pod's records, approximately 400 years. The human's expression did not change. 400 years, and he simply accepted it, like it meant nothing. "And Earth?" the human asked. Rin hesitated. "Gone. Silent. No one has heard from Earth in over 3 centuries. We do not know what happened." For just a moment, something flickered in the human's eyes. Pain, maybe. Or anger. Then it was gone, replaced by that terrible emptiness. "My name is Kang Do-yoon," the human said, "and I have questions. You will answer them." He looked down at Belix, who was still writhing on the floor, "or you will end up like him." Rin believed him completely. They thought he was just a human Cryo unleashed a monster part 2. The monsters passed. They put Do-hyun in a containment cell. It was the strongest cell on the ship, thick metal walls, energy barriers, cameras in every corner. It was built to hold dangerous creatures, monsters from distant worlds. Things with claws and teeth and poison. Do-hyun sat in the center of the cell and did nothing. He did not pace. He did not shout. He did not try to escape. He simply sat with his legs crossed and his eyes closed, breathing slowly, like he was waiting, like he had all the time in the universe. Captain Rin watched him through the security feed, and he could not look away. "What is wrong with him?" Rin muttered. His chief engineer, a small Velthary named Kos, stood beside him. Kos was old and smart, the only crew member Rin truly trusted. "I have been studying the cryopod's data files," Kos said. "Most of it was corrupted over time, but I recovered some fragments. Show me." Kos transferred the data to the main screen. Words appeared, human words, translated into Galactic Common by the ship's computer. "Project Afterlife, Korean Special Warfare Command Subject 7. Kang. The Informer Rank. Captain. 707 Special Mission Group Rin. Read the words slowly. He did not understand all of them, but he understood enough. Modifications. Enhanced neural processing. Reaction time reduced by 340%. Pain suppression system. Subject can ignore severe injuries. Accelerated healing. Wounds close 3 times faster than normal. Bone density increased by 200%. Muscle efficiency improved to theoretical maximum PSYCL profile. Subject demonstrates complete emotional control during combat situations. Shows no fear response. Shows no hesitation when causing harm. Recommended for high-risk operations where survival is unlikely. Warning: do not engage without overwhelming force. Subject has killed 847 enemy combatants in documented operations. True number believed to be higher. Rin read the last line 3 times. 847 kills. Documented. And the true number was higher. This is not a human, Rin said quietly. No, Koss agreed. This is a weapon. The humans built him to fight something. Something terrible. More fragments appeared on the screen. The silence enemy designation for unknown alien force. First contact, 2184. The silence does not communicate. The silence does not negotiate. The silence harvests organic life forms for unknown purposes. Billions dead across 17 colonies. Earth military response. Total war. Project Afterlife. 12 subjects selected. 12 soldiers modified beyond human limits. Purpose: create weapons capable of fighting the silence at close range. Results: partial success. 7 subjects survived modification. All 7 deployed to front lines. The data ended there. Whatever came next was lost to time. Rin sat back in his chair, his mind racing. The silence. He had heard that name before, in old stories and whispered legends. A terror from ancient times. A darkness that had swept across the galaxy before the Dominion existed, and the humans had created monsters to fight it. He's the last one, Koss said. I searched the remaining data. The other 6 afterlife subjects died in battle. Do-yoon is the only one left. Rin looked at the security feed. Do-yoon had not moved. He sat in perfect stillness, a statue made of flesh. What do we do with him? Rin asked. Sell him, Koss suggested. The Dominion would pay a fortune. Or we could turn him over to the science guilds. They would want to study him, take him apart, learn how the humans built him. Rin considered this. It was the smart choice, the safe choice, but something stopped him. Some feeling he could not name in his cell. Do-hyun opened his eyes. He was not meditating. He was remembering. The year was 2187. Earth was burning. The silence had come from the darkness between stars, and nothing could stop them. They did not use weapons like normal enemies. They used silence itself, a wave of nothingness that erased everything it touched: ships, stations, cities, people. Do-hyun remembered the screams. He remembered the fire. He remembered his family, his mother, his father, his younger sister watching the sky turn black as the silence arrived. They were gone now. Everyone was gone. He remembered Project Afterlife. The doctors. The needles. The pain that never ended. They had torn him apart and rebuilt him piece by piece until he was no longer human. Until he was something else. A monster. A weapon. A thing designed for one purpose: to kill. And he had killed. So many times. He had fought the silence on the surface of dying worlds, in the corridors of burning ships, in the darkness of space itself. He had killed until his hands were black with alien blood, until his mind was empty of everything except the next target. Then came the final battle. The Last Stand. Earth's remaining forces against the Silence's main fleet. Dao remembered fighting beside his brothers and sisters, the other afterlife subjects. He remembered watching them fall one by one. He remembered the fire and the darkness and the screaming. Void. And then nothing. Someone had put him in the cryopod. Someone had sent him into space with a simple command. Sleep. Sleep until we need you again. 400 years of sleep. And now he was awake. But where was Earth? Where was humanity? What had happened while he slept? The Valkyrie captain had said Earth was gone. Silent. Empty. Did we lose? Dao wondered. Did the Silence win? He needed answers. He needed information. He needed to know if the enemy still existed. And if the Silence was still out there. If they were still harvesting, still killing, still spreading their darkness across the galaxy. Then Dao would finish what he started. He was built for one purpose. He was built to fight monsters. And monsters never stopped fighting. In the control room, Rin made his decision. We're not selling him, he said. Koss looked surprised. Captain? I want to talk to him first. I want to understand what he is. What he knows. Rin stood up. Maybe there's more value here than just money. Captain, that's extremely dangerous. I know. Rin walked toward the door. But I didn't become captain by being careful. He made his way down to the containment level, his heart speeding fast. The guards stepped aside, their eyes wide with fear. Everyone on the ship knew what Dao had done to Belix. Everyone was afraid. Rin stopped in front of the cell. The energy barrier hummed between them. Dao looked up at him with those dark, empty eyes. You have questions, Dao said. It was not a question. Yes, Rin admitted. So do I. They looked at each other, the alien captain and the human weapon. Two predators, measuring each other. Then let's talk, Rin said. And they did. They thought he was just a human Cryo unleashed a monster part 3. Escape, and Alien Saren told Dao everything he knew. The galaxy had changed in 400 years. The Silence had disappeared. No one knew exactly when or why. Some said they were destroyed. Some said they retreated. Some said they were still out there, hiding in the dark spaces between stars. After the Silence vanished, new powers rose. The strongest was the Dominion, a coalition of powerful alien species that controlled most of known space. They had rules. They had laws. They had armies, and they did not like humans. Your people scattered after Earth went silent, Rin explained. Small groups, refugee ships, colony survivors. Most were captured or killed. Some found hiding places on the edge of Dominion space. But humans have no power now. No worlds, no fleet. You are... What is the word? Endangered. Dahan listened without expression. His people were nearly extinct. His planet was dead. Everything he had fought for was gone, but he did not break. He did not cry. He simply filed the information away and asked his next question. The Silence. You said some believe they are still out there? Rin nodded. Rumors, stories, ships that vanish in deep space. Colonies that go dark. No proof. But the old ones, the species that remember the ancient times, they believe the Silence is only sleeping. Danu was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up. I need a ship, he said. Rin laughed nervously. You are still my prisoner. Am I? Do-hyun looked at the energy barrier. He had been studying it for hours, measuring its frequency, calculating its weakness. These Valkyrie were scavengers, not warriors. Their technology was old and poorly maintained. Your barrier has a flaw, Dayan said. The power cycles every 4.7 seconds. There is a gap of 0.3 seconds when the fuel weakens. That is enough time. Rin's face went pale. You're lying. Do-hyun did not answer. He simply waited. Rin looked at the barrier, then at Do-hyun, then at the guards behind him. He realized in that moment that he had never been in control. Do-hyun had allowed himself to be captured. He had allowed himself to be locked in this cell. And now he was choosing to leave. What do you want? Rin asked carefully. A shuttle, supplies, star charts for this region of space. Do-hyun paused. I will not kill anyone if I do not have to, but I will leave this ship. The only question is how many of your crew die first. Rin believed him. He had seen the footage of what Do-hyun did to Belix. He had read the files. 847 confirmed kills. Fine, Rin said. Take a shuttle. Take whatever you need. Just leave. Do-hyun nodded. A wise choice. The barrier dropped. Do-hyun walked out of the cell, past the terrified guards, through the corridors of the ship. No one tried to stop him. No one even looked at him directly. They pressed themselves against the walls and let him pass like he was a ghost. 15 minutes later, Do-hyun was in space, piloting a small shuttle toward the nearest shipping lane. He was alone, 400 years from home, in a galaxy that wanted him dead. But he had survived worse. The shuttle drifted for 2 days. Do-hyun used the time to learn to read the star charts, study the history, understand this new galaxy. The Dominion was large and powerful. The alien species that controlled it were ancient and proud. Humans were nothing to them. Less than nothing. Good, Do-hyun thought. Being underestimated was an advantage. On the third day, he detected another ship. It was small, a freighter, not a warship. Old but well-maintained. It was moving slowly, heading toward a nearby space station. Do-hyun opened a communication channel. Unknown freighter. This is Shuttle 7 Alpha. I'm requesting assistance. There was a long pause. Then a voice answered, female, suspicious, speaking Galactic Common with a strange accent. Shuttle 7 Alpha, this is the Pale Orchid. What kind of assistance? I need transport. I can pay. Another pause. You sound human. I am. Humans don't fly alone in Dominion space. It's suicide. Do-hyun almost smiled. I have been told this. The voice was quiet for a moment. Then, all right, match our speed and dock at portside. But I'm warning you, try anything funny, and I'll space you myself. Understood. The Pale Orchid was small but comfortable. Its crew consisted of 3 people, all young, all human. The captain was named Yuna. She was short and thin, with sharp eyes and quick movements. She had been born on a refugee ship and had never seen Earth, but she hated the Dominion with a passion that burned bright. The medic was Taiwan. He was tall and quiet, with gentle hands and sad eyes. He had served in something called the Fringe Wars, a series of small conflicts on the edge of Dominion space, and he had seen too much death. The engineer was Bora. She was young and loud, with messy hair and a brilliant mind. She could hack any system, fix any machine, and she never stopped talking. They looked at Do-hyun with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. You don't look 400 years old. Yuna said. Cryo sleep, Do-hyun answered. Right, and that's how you ended up alone in a Veltri shuttle with no identification. No credits and clothes that belong in a museum? Do-hyun met her eyes steadily. Yes, Yuna studied him for a long moment. She was good at reading people. It was how she had survived this long. And something about Do-hyun made her nervous. He was too calm, too controlled, too empty. What were you? She asked. Before the freeze? A soldier. What kind of soldier? Do-hyun was quiet for a moment. Then he answered honestly, the worst kind. Bora was the one who discovered the truth. She could not resist the mystery, and Do-hyun was the biggest mystery she had ever met. She hacked into Velthury communication channels, found Captain Rin's reports, and decoded the Project Afterlife files. When she finished reading, she sat in silence for a long time. "You're not human," she finally said. Duhayan was sitting across from her in the small common room. "I was born human, but they changed you. Made you into—" She searched for the right word. "A weapon." "Yes." "And you killed hundreds of people?" "They were not people. They were the silence." Bora shook her head. "No, I mean, the files say you also killed human enemies. Terrorists, enemy soldiers, anyone they pointed you at." Dohyun did not deny it. "I was a tool. Tools do not choose their targets. And now? Are you still a tool?" Dohyun thought about the question. It was a good question. "No," he said finally. "Now I choose my own targets." Bora should have been afraid. Any sensible person would be afraid. But instead she felt something else, something like hope. "The silence," she said. "You think they're still out there?" "Yes." "And you want to find them?" "Yes." "Why?" Dohyun looked at her with those dark, empty eyes. But for just a moment, something flickered behind them. Something old and angry and unbroken. "Because that is what I was made for. Because they took everything from me. And because someone has to stop them." He stood up and walked toward the door. "If you want to help, you can. If not, drop me at the next station. Either way, I will find them." Bora watched him go. Then she went to find Yuna and Taiwan. "I think we should help him," she said. Yuna laughed bitterly. "Help the ancient killing machine hunt a species that destroyed Earth. Are you insane?" "Maybe." Bora shrugged. "But think about it. The Dominion hates us. They hunt us. They treat us like animals. And now we have him, a real monster. Our monster." Taiwan was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. "She's right. If the silence comes back, the Dominion can't stop them. No one can." He paused. "Except maybe him." Yuna looked at both of them. Then she sighed. "Fine, we'll help. But if he gets us killed, I'm blaming both of you." That night, the Pale Orchid changed course. They were heading for the outer rim toward the darkness between stars, where ships vanished and colonies went silent. They were going to hunt the silence, and they had a monster to lead them. They thought he was just a human Cryo, unleashed a monster Part 4. The Dominion's Wrath Captain Rin had made a mistake. He had let Dohyun go, and he had thought that would be the end of it. He was wrong. The story spread like fire across the galaxy. A single human, had crippled a Velthury salvage crew and escaped without a scratch. Belix was still in medical care, his arms in casts, his pride destroyed. The other crew members told the story to anyone who would listen. And everyone listened. Within a week, the Dominion Council knew about Dohyun. The council was made up of 7 species, the oldest and most powerful in the galaxy. They had ruled for thousands of years, and they did not tolerate threats, especially not from humans. "This is unacceptable," said Counselor Veth, a massive creature with scaled skin and cold yellow eyes. "One human has made fools of our citizens. If we do not respond, others will think we are weak." "It is one human," another counselor said. "Perhaps we are overreacting." "One human who killed 30 Velthury soldiers in less than a minute," Veth replied. "One human whose files suggest he is some kind of engineered weapon. This is not a refugee or a smuggler. This is something dangerous." The council debated for hours. In the end, they agreed. A human called Kang Do-yoon had to be captured or destroyed. They sent Warlord Keth. Keth was a legend in the Dominion. He had crushed 12 rebellions, conquered 7 worlds, and killed more enemies than he could count. He was a Raxian, a reptilian species known for their strength and cruelty. His scales were dark green, his eyes were red, and his teeth were sharp enough to bite through metal. "Find the human," the council ordered. "Bring him to us alive if possible. Dead if necessary." Kath smiled, showing all his teeth. "It will be my pleasure." He took 30 warships and 5,000 soldiers. It was enough firepower to destroy a small planet for one human. The pale orchid was hiding in the fractured nebula, a region of unstable space filled with radiation storms, asteroid fields, and sensor interference. It was dangerous, but it was also perfect for hiding. "They're coming," Bora announced. She was watching her screens with wide eyes. 30 warships. Dominion military. "They're scanning for us." Yuna swore loudly. 30 ships? For us? "Not for us," Taiwan said quietly. He was looking at Dohyun. For him. Dohyun stood at the center of the bridge, studying the tactical display. 30 ships. 5,000 soldiers. One warlord. He had faced worse odds. "Can we run?" Yuna asked. "No," Bora answered. "They're too fast. They'll catch us before we reach the edge of the nebula. Then we fight." Everyone looked at Dohyun. "We do not fight," he said. "You run. I will deal with them." Yuna stared at him. "Are you insane? That's 30 warships." "I know. You can't fight 30 warships alone." Dohyun looked at her with calm eyes. "I do not plan to fight the ships. I plan to fight the crews." The plan was simple. Simple and crazy. Yuna would fly the pale orchid through the most dangerous parts of the nebula, through asteroid fields and radiation storms that would tear apart any ship that followed. She was the best pilot Dohyun had ever seen. If anyone could do it, she could. Meanwhile, Dohyun would take the shuttle and board the enemy ships. One by one. "This is suicide," Taiwan said. "Perhaps," Dohyun agreed. "But I have done this before." He had. In the old days, during the war against the Silence, he had boarded enemy vessels alone many times. The Silence were terrifying creatures of shadow and void that could erase reality itself. But they died when you cut them. Everything died when you cut it in the right place. And Dohyun was very good at cutting. The chase began at midnight. Ship time. Yuna flew like a demon. She pushed the pale orchid through spaces that should have been impossible, threading between asteroids, diving through radiation clouds, using every trick she knew. Behind her, Kath's fleet tried to follow. 3 ships crashed into asteroids. 2 more were damaged by radiation. But the rest kept coming. "He's not giving up," Bora reported. "Neither am I," Yuna growled. On the shuttle, Dohyun watched the enemy formation. He had chosen his first target, a medium cruiser at the edge of the fleet. It was large enough to matter but small enough to be lightly defended. He flew toward it at full speed. "Unknown shuttle, you are entering restricted space. Turn back or be destroyed." Dohyun did not answer. He aimed for the cargo bay doors and fired every weapon the shuttle had. The explosion tore open the cargo bay. Air rushed out into space, along with containers, equipment, and several unfortunate soldiers. Dohyun flew into the gap, crashed his shuttle into the deck, and stepped out before the debris had settled. Alarms screamed. Emergency lights flashed red. Soldiers came running. Dohyun moved. He was faster than any normal human. His modified body processed information 3 times faster than a regular brain, and his muscles responded instantly. To the soldiers, he seemed to teleport from place to place, appearing behind them before they could turn, striking before they could fire. He took their weapons and used them. He took their blades and used them better. He moved through the ship like a shadow, leaving bodies behind him. The bridge crew never even saw him coming. One moment they were shouting orders. The next moment they were dead. and Do-hyun was standing at the controls. He set the ship's reactor to overload, then left the same way he came. The cruiser exploded 3 minutes later. Kath received the news with disbelief. One human? One human destroyed my cruiser? Yes, Warlord. We have security footage. Show me. He watched the footage in silence. He watched the human move through his soldiers like wind through grass. He watched the speed, the precision, the complete lack of hesitation. What is this thing? Kath whispered that he did not know. But he was starting to understand why the Council wanted it captured. All ships, new orders. Focus all fire on the shuttle. Kill the human at any cost. But Do-hyun was already gone. He had taken another shuttle from the destroyed cruiser and was heading for his next target. The battle lasted 6 hours. Do-hyun boarded 7 ships in total. He killed over 300 soldiers. He destroyed 4 cruisers by overloading their reactors. He crippled 2 more by destroying their engines. And he did not stop by the 5th hour. Kath's fleet was in chaos. Soldiers refused to board ships that Do-hyun might attack. Commanders argued about tactics. Fear spread through the ranks like a disease. He's just one human. Kath screamed. One human! But his soldiers had seen the footage. They had heard the stories. They knew that this human was something else. Finally, Do-hyun came for the flagship. Kath was waiting for him on the bridge. He had sent away his guards. They would only die anyway. He stood alone, a massive blade in his clawed hands. Human, he growled. You have killed my soldiers, destroyed my ships, made me look like a fool. Do-hyun entered the bridge slowly. His clothes were torn and stained with blood, some of it his own. He was carrying 2 blades taken from fallen soldiers. You came for me, Do-hyun said. I am simply returning the visit. Kath roared and attacked. He was fast for his size, faster than any Raxian Do-hyun had ever seen. His blade was heavy enough to cut through metal walls, but Do-hyun was faster. The fight lasted 4 minutes. Kath was strong. Kath was skilled. Kath had killed hundreds of enemies in single combat, but Kath had never fought something like Do-hyun. When it was over, the warlord lay on the floor in a pool of his own blood. He was still alive barely because Do-hyun wanted him alive. You will deliver a message, Do-hyun said. He leaned close to Kath's face. Tell your council what you saw today. Tell them that I am coming. And tell them this. If anyone stands between me and the silence, they will end up like you. He stood up and walked toward the bridge controls. And Warlord? Thank you for the ships. He activated the flagship's communication system and broadcast a message to the surviving fleet. This is Kang Do-hyun. Your warlord is defeated. Your fleet is broken. Go home. Tell everyone what you saw. Tell them that the humans are not as weak as they thought. He paused, and tell them that the monster is awake. Then he walked away, leaving Kath bleeding on the bridge, and disappeared into the darkness of space. The surviving ships retreated. They had come with 30 warships. They left with 11. And the galaxy had a new nightmare to fear. They thought he was just a human. Cryo unleashed a monster. Part 5. The hunt begins. The story of what happened in the fractured nebula spread across the galaxy within days. A story of what happened in the fractured nebula. A faden in the fractured nebula spread across the galaxy within days. A prey of what happened in the fractured nebula. A pattern in the fractured nebula. One human had destroyed a Dominion war fleet. He had killed a warlord in single combat. He had walked through hundreds of soldiers like they were nothing. And then he had disappeared, leaving nothing behind except bodies and fear. The Dominion called him a terrorist, a monster, a threat to galactic peace. But the humans called him something else. Hope. In the refugee camps and hidden colonies scattered across the edge of known space. Humans whispered his name. Kang Do-yun. The ghost of Earth. The last afterlife. The monster who fights for us. For the first time in 300 years. Humans had something to believe in, on the Pale Orchid. Yuna watched the news feeds with a mixture of amazement and terror. They're calling you a god, she said. Some human colonies are painting your face on their walls. Do-hyun said nothing. He was sitting in the corner of the common room, cleaning his weapons, a habit from the old days that he had never lost. Does that bother you? Taiwan asked. No. Do-hyun checked the edge of his blade. I am not a god. I am not a hero. I am a weapon. But if my existence gives humans courage, then that is useful. Bora looked up from her screens. She had been searching for something for days, barely sleeping, barely eating. Now her eyes were bright with discovery. I found something, she said. Everyone gathered around her station. The screen showed a star map, a region of space far from Dominion territory, beyond the edge of civilization. The outer rim, Bora explained. I've been tracking anomalies. Ships that vanished. Colonies that went silent. Communication signals that just stopped. Red dots appeared on the map. Dozens of them. These are all locations where something happened in the last 50 years. The Dominion investigated some of them. They found nothing. No wreckage. No bodies. No explanation. The ships and colonies were just gone. Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. The silence? I think so. Bora zoomed in on one particular region. This is the pattern. Look. The anomalies started appearing about 60 years ago on the very edge of mapped space. Then they started moving inward. Slowly. Very slowly. But they're getting closer. Do-hyun studied the map with intense focus. He knew this pattern. He had seen it before, 400 years ago. The silence did not attack openly. They crept. They tested. They probed the edges, looking for weakness. They're coming back, he said quietly. We don't know that for certain, Taiwan said. These could be pirates. Natural disasters. Equipment failures. No. Do-hyun pointed at the screen. This is exactly what they did before. Before the invasion. Before the harvesting. They watched us. Learned us. And when they were ready, he did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. So what do we do? Yuna asked. Tell the Dominion? They hate us. They won't listen to anything a human says. And even if they did listen, what could they do? Bora added. Their weapons didn't work against the silence before. That's why Earth created Project Afterlife. That's why they made. She looked at Do-hyun. You. Do-hyun was silent for a long moment. He was thinking about the past. About his brothers and sisters in the program. About the war. About the sacrifice. 12 subjects had entered Project Afterlife. 7 had survived the modification. All 7 had been deployed to the front lines. And all of them had died. Except him. Why? Why had he survived when the others fell? Why had someone put him in a cryopod and sent him into the future? The answer, he realized, was simple. Someone had known. Someone had known that the silence would return. And they had saved him the last weapon for this moment. I will not warn the Dominion, Do-hyun said finally. They would not believe me. And even if they did, they would try to use me. Control me. Turn me into their tool. Then what? Yuna demanded. Do-hyun stood up. He walked to the viewport and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, in the darkness between galaxies, something ancient and terrible was waking up. Something that had destroyed worlds. Something that had killed billions. Something that had taken everything from him. I will find them, he said. I will hunt them in the dark. I will learn their weaknesses. And when they finally show themselves, I will be ready. He turned to face the crew. His expression was calm, but his eyes burned with something fierce and unbreakable. I was made for this. I was frozen for this. 400 years of sleep, and I am still here. Still standing. Still fighting. He paused. They thought they destroyed humanity. They thought we were finished. They were wrong. Yuna looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled a hard, fierce smile. You know what? I'm tired of running. I'm tired of hiding. If you're going to hunt monsters, I want to help. Taiwan nodded slowly. Me too. I've spent my whole life watching humans suffer. Maybe it's time to fight back. Bora grinned. And someone has to keep the ship running. Plus, I really want to hack alien technology. For science. Dahin looked at each of them. These three young humans, a pilot, a medic, an engineer. They were not soldiers. They were not weapons. But they were brave. And in his experience, courage mattered more than strength. Thank you, he said. It was not something he said often. Yuna waved her hand. Don't get emotional. We're doing this for humanity. And also because the Dominion really makes me angry. The Pale Orchid changed course. They were heading for the outer rim toward the darkness, toward the silence, toward the unknown. It was a journey into the void, and none of them knew if they would return. But they went anyway. As the ship flew through hyperspace. Dohyun sat alone in the cargo hold. He was looking at something small in his hand, a photograph preserved in plastic. That had been in his pocket when he was frozen. It showed a family, a mother, a father, a teenage boy, a younger girl. His family. Gone now. Dust and memory. I'm still here, he whispered to the photograph. I don't know why, but I'm still here. He put the photograph away and closed his eyes. 400 years ago, he had been a weapon, a tool, a monster that fought other monsters. But now? Now he was something else, something new. He was the last survivor of a dead world, the final protector of a scattered people, the only one who remembered what the silence really was. And he was awake. The Dominion feared him. The humans worshipped him. The silence, if they even remembered humanity, probably thought he was dead. They were all wrong. He was Kang Do-yoon, Subject 7 of Project Afterlife. The last weapon of Earth. And he was coming for them. In the darkness between stars, something ancient stirred. It had been sleeping for centuries, gathering strength, waiting for the right moment. It did not think the way humans thought. It did not feel the way humans felt. But it knew one thing with perfect certainty. It was hungry. And soon, very soon, it would feed again. But somewhere in that same darkness, a small ship flew toward the edge of everything. And on that ship, a monster was sharpening his blades. The hunt was beginning, and the monster was awake. To be continued.